Hello, and welcome to our show For the Love of Animals. We're so glad you joined us today. I'm Darleen Pigford.
And I'm Greg Baur, and we have an extra little guest for us today here. This is Wicket, who is a part of the herd that Darleen and I have.
And he's not up for adoption today.
Exactly. So he's going to join us today.
Well, Greg, how about some shows that are coming up?
Well, we have a couple of shows that I think our viewers will be interested in. The one with a takeoff, in a sense, of Oprah's My Favorite Things. We're going to talk about my favorite things for dogs and cats, and we think our viewers will like that. And we also have a show coming up on grooming, things that you can do at home to help make your animals feel and look a little bit better. So what do we have on tap for today, though, Darleen?
Well, Greg, we're going to visit the McCracken County dog and cat ordinances in our area and get some detailed information about that. Why don't you introduce our returning guest?
Yes, we'll be happy to. This is Danny Brown, who is the Director of Animal Control for McCracken County, which also serves the city of Paducah. And welcome, Danny. We're so glad you came back to be with us today.
Yeah, thanks for coming again.
You're welcome.
Well, Danny, as usual, tell us about your responsibilities as Animal Control Director.
Well,
that's a biggie, I'm sure.
That's a wide range. The administrative duties, the office duties, the monitoring the budget, equipment, making sure everybody's got the equipment that they need to perform the jobs, making sure that the equipment's up to par, it's working right. Record keeping, I keep all the records, and then I communicate with the public to find out what their problems are and what their needs are, and we try to work with them as much as I can to make animal control work in McCracken County.
Okay. Danny, do we have a leash law here in the city or county?
Yes, we have a leash law within the city limits of Paducah.
Okay.
Which means that your dog can't run free at any time.
Okay.
If you got a dog and you got it out, you have to have that dog on a leash. You can't just let him run free. And that's for the dog's protection and citizens' protection too. And
all right, now what if I were walking Wicket on my own property? Am I required to have him on a leash then?
Well, if you're right there with him,
okay,
and he's under your, and you feel
supervision,
that he's under your immediate control, then we would look at that as a leash. But you know, we don't recommend that because we've seen too many run out from someone for some startled reason.
Exactly.
And one or two things happen: is somebody's going to get bit, or the animal's going to get hit by a car.
Exactly. So.
Now,
Even if it's on your own property, it's to everybody's betterment, in most cases, to have your dog on a leash, I guess,
Yes,
unless he's in a fenced yard in the back or
Yes,
something.
within the city of Paducah, the intent of the ordinance is all dogs that are outside or out of a pen or off have to be on a leash.
And I can see the logic behind that.
Yes.
So when people are out jogging or walking
Yes.
and their dog runs with them, that's not appropriate.
That's not appropriate. And within the city, it's too close knit for dogs to be loose like that anyway.
And too many distractions.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Too
Well,
many.
let me ask you this. If we were out walking Wicket on a leash and, you know, to do his business, are people supposed to pick up behind their animals?
Yes, there is a fee ordinance within the city of Paducah. If it goes on any public way or on somebody's property that you don't have permission, then you are required to pick that up and dispose of it properly.
Okay, and obviously if I were in a park or something like that, I would.
You would have to pick it up.
Do the same thing.
I would
true,
have
also.
to, and you know, that does make sense, so.
Well, and all of this is for the protection not only animals but the public and
That's right.
things like that. And
That's
so it doesn't seem like that these are unreasonable kinds of things, although some people think that they are.
Some people
unreasonable.
think they are. Most
Right.
people think that they're okay.
Yeah.
How about this, how about in the county? What are the rules in the county?
The rules in the county is your dog can run loose from sun up to sundown if he's licensed and vaccinated for rabies, provided that your dog is not a nuisance and your dog is not being vicious or aggressive. If he does either one of those, then you lose your privilege of the dog ran loose.
Okay, so it's still good judgment has to prevail in the county also.
Good judgment has to prevail.
And you brought up something, Danny, that
Yes.
relative to what kinds of tags that your dog should be wearing, they should have a rabies tag, a current rabies tag. They should have an identification tag with an owner's phone number or something like that. And they should also have a dog license tag. And
Yes.
the dog license tag applies both to city and county.
Yes. Yeah, if you live within McCracken County, whether you live outside the city limits or inside the city limits, you are required to have a dog license.
Okay.
Here, Wicket, we'll let them show that you have your tags
You have
here,
your
too.
tags
I
on.
like to refer to them as a dog registration,
Okay, dog registration.
but the official title is dog license.
And Danny, where can a citizen get a dog license?
You can check with your vet.
Okay.
A lot of the vets in McCracken County have those for the convenience of their clients, and you can also get them at the county administrator's office at the courthouse.
And the cost is at the courthouse?
At the courthouse, it's $3.
It's $3. And this is, you have to renew it each year,
You have
right?
to renew it each year.
And you would also have to show proof of rabies
You have to
and
show
any other proof
of
that you have to
rabies
show.
at that time.
That's the only other
Just
proof
the
that you
proof
have.
of rabies. Has to be, you have to prove it's been vaccinated by a licensed veterinarian, not by an individual. We
Okay.
won't accept that. The state law says that a dog has to be licensed by a licensed veterinarian, has to be vaccinated by a licensed veterinarian,
And you have to have proof of this.
and you have to have proof of that.
All right, and that is because if your animal were to bite someone, that would be awfully important information to the
Yes.
victim that is being bit. So,
Yes.
we would also like to recommend, ooh, watch Wicket, that you also put an ID on your dog. This is one that we got at PetSmart where we identify this is Wicket Baur, and we give the address and telephone number, so if by any chance he got out, that he could be returned to us.
And there's other places
There-
that you can get them too, like Walmart. And
Right.
And
things
we
like
like those, animal control likes the personal IDs because, for instance, if your dog gets injured and we're the one that get to it, we can immediately know who to contact rather than having to go through files and it might be 2 o'clock in the morning whenever all this happens. And we can get your animal taken care of a whole lot quicker with that personal ID.
Yeah, and since this is a personal pet, you know, I wouldn't want him to be treated in any other way. So
That's right.
if Wicket were by any chance to get off the lease or go out the door when he's not supposed to, we certainly want to get him back because he's a member of our family. Well, I see that it's time for a break. We want to tell our viewers about a happy tale about a cat named Sweet Pea.
My owner adopted me from Project Hope, and I was so glad to have a good home. But when renter problems arose, my mom returned me to Project Hope. I was so sad, depressed, and unhappy when visitors poked fun at me because of my weight. Then Marjorie, the shelter director, placed me in a foster home with Darleen and Greg. I have a large play area, many toys, a cushy bed, and large windows to watch the outside birds and squirrels. My attitude is a lot better now, and I even like my weight management food. But I would like a forever home, so I hope to get adopted soon. Even so, I am a very lucky kitty. Love, Sweet Pea.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that story about Sweet Pea. And she's one of those cases, she's in foster care right now, so she does need a forever home. And if you're interested, you can contact us at area code 270-443-8330. We'll be happy to try to match her up with a new home.
And Sweet Pea is really sweet.
Yes, she is. Sweet little girl. So, I'd like to turn now for just a minute. You've seen on a couple of our past shows that we've told you that Project Hope is in the midst of a fundraiser at this point, and we would like to kind of remind you that they are trying to raise funds to help fix up their no-kill shelter located in Metropolis. And one of the ways that they're doing that is to sell little plaques or well, I guess tiles,
Tiles.
is the best way to say it. And this can be done with a contribution of $25 or more, minimum contribution, and they will paint a picture of a pet that you may have lost that you would like to honor. And we have
Or a current pet.
Right, or a current pet. We have a couple of examples here on the table, and those, if you provide a picture to the people, they will paint a little tile, and those tiles will be put up on the wall over at the Project Hope shelter located in Metropolis, and people will be able to come in and see them.
We have what, Baby and
Yeah,
Piccolo?
Baby and Piccolo are the two.
Are being honored now.
Right. So if you're interested in doing that, you can send a donation along with a picture to Project Hope, P.O. Box 125, Metropolis, Illinois, 62960. Or if you have questions or would like to contact them by telephone, they are at area code 618-524-8939. And we hope that you will help them out with a very worthy cause. Well, returning now to Danny Brown, who is our guest today. Danny, how would you define humane treatment for animals
Under the law.
under the law?
Well, you have to provide your animal with adequate shelter, adequate food, water, and medical care.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fail to do either one of those, then by law you have inhumane treated your animal.
Okay.
Can you, Danny, what kind of shelter? Can you be more specific with us?
Well, you need
Say for an outside dog.
outside dog. You need a dog house. You don't need some boards leaned up together. That
No
we
embassy suites for
We
them.
see quite often. We've even seen people take old sheets and make a tent, and they
Oh,
think
really?
that that's adequate, and it's
Yeah, in
it's
rainy
not.
weather, come on.
If you're gonna have a dog and you're gonna have him outside, go get you a nice dog house for the dog, and don't put it where the north wind's gonna blow in the doorway. We see that a lot.
Oh, okay.
People they don't sometimes realize what they're doing, but if you set that dog house and the wind's blowing out of the north, blowing right in that dog house door, it's just not any good.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to furnish him that dog house if you're gonna have him outside.
Okay.
Okay. Now, can I chain my dog up? Maybe I don't have a fence, but I don't want the dog inside. Can I chain him up outside?
In the city of Paducah, you can't.
I can't. Okay.
You can chain him up to a fixed point for 8 hours out of 24.
Okay.
Your dog cannot live on a fixed point in the city of Paducah. He cannot spend his life there.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you have him out
Okay.
for the day or for an hour or two, you still gonna have to have a dog house for him, and you cannot have the dog in any way where he can entangle into anything like a swing set or shrubs or something like this, because of it's pretty get choked, get wrapped around stuff. So in the county, you can have him chained outside or in a pen or.
So does the 8 hour doesn't apply in the county?
The 8 hours doesn't apply in the county.
Yeah, because I guess they have a lot more room to roam in the county.
That's true. You don't have a lot of people. If they're going to put them outside, they're going to let them just
Right.
roam around.
Okay.
And even though let's talk about cats for just a second. Cats don't really come under any of these leash laws or being penned up, but just good common sense in terms of providing them shelter and food and things like that.
That's true.
But
now-
they are allowed to run free, though, aren't they?
As long as they're not a nuisance.
As long as they're not a nuisance, okay.
As long as they're not a nuisance.
Okay. Now, how would we define? Give us the extreme cases here. How?
Of a cat nuisance?
Yeah, of a cat.
If your neighbor's cat's coming over and jumping up on your car and scratching the paint off of it.
Oh, yeah, that is a nuisance. Okay.
If your neighbor's cat's coming over and spraying your porch,
Okay.
that would be a nuisance.
Or tearing up my screen porch.
That's true.
How
Tearing
about
up-
digging in my flower beds? That's
Well,
a nuisance to me.
It is, and you know, it's got one cat. Sometimes is not going to do that much damage. It's just whatever extreme of damage it's doing. You know, I mean, if it's just come through there and dig one time, then you know it may
Right.
not never come back. But if it just continues and continues and continues, then that could run into a nuisance.
Okay, so if I have a cat and I have a cat outside, then what I have to do is make sure it is not a nuisance to my neighbors.
That's true.
Okay, now, I personally believe, and if I have cats, my cats are indoors.
Yes.
With an ID tag,
Yes.
but still, I see some outside cats sometime, and one of them I saw in my neighborhood I thought needed medication. Well, I didn't know who the cat belonged to, and it was a very friendly cat. So I couldn't go to my neighbor and say, I've seen this cat and it looks like it has allergies or its eyes are running, you know, it needs medical care. But I didn't know who the owner was. So even though it's not a law, it still would be, if you do let a cat outdoors, it should have an ID tag on it, simply so it won't be picked up.
That's true, but if you put the ID tag on it, you need to use one of the stretch collars to put it on there with,
Okay.
because the cat can get that hung in a fence or something
Absolutely.
and choke him and kill him.
All right, so it needs to be a stretch
A
collar.
stretch collar.
Stretch collar, okay.
And Danny, isn't it also true that dogs will tend to run in packs and can be more of a nuisance as a group, whereas cats do not tend to do that?
No, cats don't normally do that.
Okay, but that neither one can be a nuisance.
Neither one can be a nuisance.
Do you, after all the cases that you handled, would you give some advice to our viewers about, quote, being a good neighbor and avoiding cat-dog confrontations, or, you know, between neighbors?
Well, what we see a lot, and we suggest this to people all
Okay.
the time, is to talk to your neighbors about your pets
Good idea.
and exchange information with each other if they have pets. If your pets, let them know if your pet's doing something they don't like, to call you and let you know so you can correct the problem before it gets out of hand.
Absolutely.
Because it may bother somebody else that may not be as generous, and you know, they may do something to it. But you don't have a knowledge that your cat's even doing this. So if you've got good neighbors and you can talk to them, we suggest that all the time, to exchange your complaints or ideas. Everybody know what everybody's doing
Before
and
there's
who
a
owns
problem.
what, and before there's a problem. Alleviate that problem before it ever happens.
Okay. Well, Danny, do we have any ordinances about special events in Paducah?
In the city of Paducah, any special event, if you take your dog, it has to be muzzled,
Okay.
and it has to, of course, it has to have all its proper license
Right.
and rabies vaccination tags on it, and it can't be on a lead more than 3 foot long.
Okay.
Okay, and what kind of special event are we talking about?
The downtown on Saturday night,
Okay.
barbecue on the river, and et cetera, those type of events.
Okay. And you know, that does make sense.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we'll take a break and talk about something very, very special also. We have now a forget-me-not in remembrance of a special dog named Chloe.
Our bundle of love. Chloe was an adorable 2-pound bundle of love that came into our lives over 12 years ago. I cared for her and helped my 75-year-old mom adjust to the needy little puppy who promptly stole her heart. Chloe was the love of my mom's life and her constant companion. They held each other as they suffered through the fear of thunderstorms and shared the joy of each spring watching the birds from their backyard deck. Chloe brought such comfort and such joy to my mom's final years. It was heartbreaking when she could no longer keep her devoted companion due to my mom's failing health and safety concerns for both of them. Our dear family friend Debbie agreed to take Chloe and gently wean her away with frequent visits back to her real mom, who remarkably seemed to understand that Chloe still loved her and now had the best of both worlds. After the death of my dear mom, Chloe settled into a happy life with Debbie, who had grown to adore this little frou-frou bundle of love. Little did we realize how much joy and laughter she would actually bring into Debbie's life as an added bonus for taking her and giving her a forever home. As Chloe got older and had her own health problems, our goal was to make her final years as happy and comfortable as she made my mom's. Debbie came to live in my mom's little woodland home, and Chloe joyfully spent her last years in the peaceful and familiar surroundings where she grew up. As an added gift of love and remembrance to her first mom, Chloe died on Mother's Day. It was hard to let her go, but easier for Debbie and for me to give her up on that special day by knowing we were giving her back to my mom. We find great comfort in knowing that Chloe and my mom are together once again.
We would like to thank Pam Wells for contributing this particular story about one of her family members' pets, and she has made a contribution in Chloe's name to the Paducah Humane Society. If you have a pet that you would like to have remembered, we would like to have you submit a photo and a little story about the pet to Forgive Me Not, 3734 Baur Lane, Paducah, Kentucky, 42001. Any questions can be addressed to area code 270-443-8330. And we would love to have some features from you, our viewers. We want to turn now to another one of our regular features, a poem about cruelty and about humane treatment of animals. This was written by our resident poet, Pam Wells, also known as Miss Bunny, and let's give a listen to that.
Someone once loved him. His hair was all matted as he stood in the rain, with sad, pleading eyes and a heart full of pain. Someone once loved him. He wasn't alone. His belly was full then, and his raven coat shone. He lived in a nice house with a warm, cozy bed, filled with laughter and love, and his best friend, Ted. But then he got bigger, and he barked when alone. No longer a puppy, his cuteness was outgrown. So they moved him outside to a big, lonely yard and scolded his barking, though he tried really hard. He waited for Teddy as he watched night and day. He thought, I'll be good. I just want to play. They promised him love and a life as their friend, not the long, lonely days and the bitter night wind. He hungered for touch, not the bones that they brought. He wanted to please them, but he knew he could not. His life on the chain was empty and bleak. Once a spirited beauty, now his head hangs so meek. Some days he was hungry and his water bowl dry. He watched and he waited as he whimpered a sigh. But they were too busy to hear his sad cries and didn't have time for the love in his eyes. Then they came out to get him to go for a ride. His tail wagged with joy. He had Ted by his side. But soon it was over as he remembered that day and the sadness he felt as they took him away. They patted his head and walked quickly away without looking back and with nothing to say. His dark eyes were shining as he sat very still, watching his family walk away up the hill. Where are you going? What did I do? Teddy, don't leave me. I'm coming with you. His heart was so heavy. What had he done wrong? This place wasn't home. He didn't belong. Now he wanders the streets, confused and alone, looking for Teddy and the love he'd once known.
We'd like to thank Pam for these wonderful thoughts, and if you'd like to contact her, you can do so at area code 270-575-3822 or at petlix@yahoo.com for her email address. Thanks again, Pam.
Or Miss Bunny.
Yes. Danny, maybe in our, as we begin to head into the last segment, give us an overview of some of the particular cruelty cases that you had.
Well, just to kind of give a summary of it, you know, we've run in, for instance, we've ran into one of those dogs fastened in a station wagon. That's where they live. They was feeding them and taking care of them, but they lived in that station wagon. It was hot summertime, like in September. and they wind up surrendering their dogs to us, and we educate them on it. And we run into dogs chained in the backyard or in pens that's not being taken care of, not fed properly, skin and bones. We had some Dalmatians that way. We even had a unusual situation where we had found a calf in a backyard in a wood box. The gentleman was keeping it there for a day or two and going to move it out in the county, and of course that didn't work either. The calf couldn't even turn around or move.
Oh.
And horse cruelties is one of our, we run into that not too often, but more often than what we'd like to. And we've found some horses that was pretty much starved to death. And particularly one case, here about a year ago, and I had a little horse and it was just skin and bones. So those are the type of the cases, you know, the medical neglect, no housing, and just not feeding them.
Goodness. Well, I'm certainly glad that we have people like you and that the county has resources to handle
Yes.
this.
Exactly.
Well, turning our attention now from cats, dogs, and the birds, let's turn our attention to birds. I understand that we are a bird sanctuary.
Here in the city of Paducah.
A lot of people don't realize that, but within the city of Paducah, there's an ordinance, and that the city of Paducah was declared a bird sanctuary, which means that you can't molest, kill, or pretty much bother a bird. They've just pretty much got freedom if they want to. But there's exceptions in there for like nuisance,
Gotcha.
pigeons or something like that. But your regular birds they're protected.
Okay. And Danny, if I wanted to get this information, where could I go to find more about the McCracken County ordinances?
Well, you could go to www.co.mccracken.ky.us, and then just follow the direction, the links of where you want to go.
You can go to the city and or the county.
Go to the city or county.
Well, Danny, we certainly want to thank you for giving us, for coming and giving us this valuable information today. And I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed it. And we hope our viewers will join us next time. Until then, I'm Darlene.
And I'm Greg, saying we want to give your pet a little extra love today and every day, just like our wicket here. See you next time.
Bye.